Hi, welcome to SBR TV. I'm Peter Loshak. This is our Monday Football Openers show that we do every week with John Ryan. And right now we're going to take a look at the wild card lines, which are already out for next week's playoff games, the wild card round. John, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Peter. How are you?
I'm good. How'd you do on your thread this week? Last week of the regular season.
Well, we had a losing Sunday. We
Mm.
got burned pretty bad by the back door against the 49ers, but
Yeah.
that's why hitting 55% isn't all that bad.
Right. No,
So I
absolutely
think we didn't achieve 60% for the year, but we were, I think, somewhere between 55 and 60. I haven't finished that number, but it was good.
not. Yeah. So are you going to be doing playoff picks in your thread?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And I think this is a time of year where some of my work can really excel.
Right, right. All right,
So
well, I'm looking over these opening lines, and there's a few of them actually that I think are pretty decent bets. You know, you tend to think of like the NFL playoff lines as being very tight, and maybe they are. But let's start off with the first one. Denver +9, right? At home against Pittsburgh. Now, Tim Tebow has looked pretty awful the past few weeks, and, there's no question about that. But we know the style of football they play with, which results in close games. And Pittsburgh is pretty banged up. They're kind of stumbling into this game. Roethlisberger is playing on a bum ankle. They got, I think, Mendenhall's out as well. They got a bunch of injuries. I'm not sure that, a double-digit victory on the road at Denver, which is a tough place to play, is something that's likely to happen. So I think that's a good bet, and I'm wondering where the line's going to go. I have a feeling it'll go down to 7 by game time, but where do you think it's going to go?
I think if it's going to move, I agree. I think it's going to go down. But Denver has really looked pretty poor the last several weeks, and I think the reason the line is so high is that the defensive coordinators now have figured out how to play
Sure.
against this style of football. The fact of the matter is, when you force Tebow to throw, you enhance the probability of winning by double digits a tremendous amount.
We'll see. Then another interesting line is Houston and Cincinnati. Houston is a 3-point favorite at home, and I'm thinking that Houston might be a good bet here, and this line also might creep up a little bit just because last week Houston was able to, since they had the 3 seed locked in, they were able to rest a bunch of their key players. And Cincinnati, we've been talking about this in our experts previews each week. They have a very young team, a rookie-laden team, and those teams tend to fade a bit down the stretch when they're not used to playing so many intense games. 3 points is just not that much. What do you think? You think this line will creep higher?
Yeah, I do there. I had it opening at 2.5. It quickly went to 3. We're seeing 3 minus 105 pretty much across the board. What I found interesting was the total of 38. That was something I thought would at least be 40 or 41.
Yeah.
So that has me scratching my head a little bit. That total did open at 39 and drifted lower. And that's what was so surprising, because I think if you like Houston in this matchup and Cincinnati is inexperienced, it's usually inexperienced teams that make the most mistakes on defense. Blown coverages, missed gap assignments, whatever they are. And then a seasoned team like Houston will exploit that, and it leads to points on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So I kind of have an early lean here towards Houston and the over.
Yeah, me too. I see it the same way. And then Detroit, New Orleans. New Orleans is a 10.5-point favorite. Obviously they've been awesome at home all year, so you can't really bet on the Lions here. I don't see how, considering how the Lions played last week and late in the season. But then again, it is the playoffs, so you never know what's going to happen. Total's 58.5. It's definitely going to be a high-scoring game, but is it really worth betting an over 58.5? Do you think these lines will move in any direction significantly?
I'm not really sure, Peter.
Yeah.
This is just a bizarre matchup against, arguably one of the best offenses of all time. And Detroit's offense isn't exactly, a bad offense in their own right.
Right.
It's a game that could see 80 points, or it could be a game that'll see, 49.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be awful tough for Detroit to go into New Orleans, because when the Saints play at home, they are just
Yeah.
arguably the best team in football.
I don't know where this line's going to move, but I bet you the books are going to get hit with a ton of public 10-point teasers on New Orleans on that one. That just has public 10-point teaser written all over it. And then the last game is the Giants and Falcons. Now, this one I actually looked at it. The opening total was 49, I think, and I like the under. I see it now at 48 minus 110 at Pinnacle. But, the Giants have their improved running game now. They're all healthy in the running game and in defense. But I think this is going to be a bit of a lower scoring game than people are expecting. So I would expect that total to go down a bit as well. And as far as the spread, Giants -3, that's probably going to stay there, in my opinion, close at 3 as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree 100%. I think the spread is locked in there at 3. This game is very similar to last night's game. You have the Giants coming in favored by 3 against a pretty equal opponent, and both teams are going to want to shorten the game. They don't want to make mistakes and fall behind early. They don't want to make mistakes and get down by two scoring drives. So I think you're right, Peter. I think this is a game that of all the 4 of them, could definitely shape up for a pretty strong underplay.
All right, we'll see how this all turns out. Good luck this week. We'll talk to you next week, John.
Thank you, Peter.